Good morning, everyone. It's Chris. Just wanted to do a quick video. Been in a Star Wars mood lately. And instead of doing a video on all of Clone Wars Season 7, because by the time this drops, it's out, we got one episode to go, I thought I'd do a quick video of just some quick thoughts of what Clone Wars has done with Darth Maul. Just because even still, like, some people didn't know he was brought back earlier on in the show's run, and then others didn't like what happened because they're still picturing the outstanding Sith assassin character that we got in the Phantom Menace, up until he's too cocky randomly to get cut in half because, well, unless you're Jango Fett, George Lucas can't write good, awesome character deaths. Yeah, no, I'm not trying to slam George. It's just Boba Fett had a great look and got tossed out like a sucker. Maul a little bit. Mace Windu as well, actually. Although it could have been too epic. Anyways, so they hinted at Maul coming back in season 3, and then at the end of season 4, it was a two-parter where they brought him back, and I love what they've done with him. Just because I don't think you can't do anything else with the silent assassin character. Not when you've got a property and a franchise that's just so character driven, especially because that version of the character had been killed, where there were still elements to it. But if they hadn't killed Maul in the Phantom Menace and they kept him going that way, then that would have been all right. But to go away 10 years where he had been killed, but surviving on the dark side that drove him mad, it added so much depth to him. Sam Witwer added such an awesome take on the performance that they started implementing some of his stuff into the character. And there's behind the scenes footage of him recording. He's not just standing in front of the mic and just saying lines, like, he's acting into the microphone, and they got some of that on the screen, and it added so much depth to the character, added this really interesting element that originally wasn't there. And what got me talking about it is, one, just because the episodes of Clone Wars in season 7 have been amazing, but then also as I've been listening to Plagueis, the now Legends novel, it's really interesting because in that Maul is still like Phantom Apprentice Maul. Sorry, not Phantom Apprentice, Phantom Menace Maul. With some of the later story that we get fleshed out in Clone Wars. And it's just so good. I love what they've done with the character. And it's a gamble when you bring back a beloved character and then add layers to him. Just because sometimes when it's like, well, that's not what I not fell in love with, but that's not what I loved about the character before, and you're making him whine and be crazy and all that. And I'm like, he's not whining. It's so interesting what they've done. I feel like I'm doing a bad job in articulating, but I am trying to keep this short because one of my recent quick thoughts went to like 20 minutes, and that's not so quick. That's a borderline podcast episode. So I'm gonna wrap it there. It's just, I love what they did with him. It added so much to the character, and that's a character who you can keep going back to that well. You can keep developing, have interesting stories with. We couldn't have gotten some of the more emotionally satisfying and tense and interesting episodes in Clone Wars and Rebels, for that matter, without the changes they made to Darth Maul. In Rebels, when we get to Maul's final fate, it adds so much to it, just because you grew with the character. He had articulated his rage, his thirst, his desperate thirst for revenge, and his needing to quench it at all costs, basically, which we wouldn't have gotten if if he just was the exact same as he was from Phantom Menace. And then, like, without spoiling, because I don't want to spoil stuff, because I have friends who haven't seen season 7. But I'll be honest, there's a Clone Wars episode of the podcast coming. I don't quite know yet if it's looking at the series entirely, or if it's just season 7, or the last 4 episodes of season 7. And I know I spoiled stuff in the Phantom Apprentice quick thoughts I did, but I'm not going to hear. I think of these last couple episodes, I'm like, you couldn't do them without Maul. There's some really interesting stuff that he brings to it that if it was another character, it would not work. It just wouldn't work. And he adds so many questions, and right kind of questions, and tension, and brings still a menace, even though at this point you know who's going to be the big bad Darth. You know who's, like, he's not going to throw a wrench in the works, but he's still chaos when he shows on the scene. Like, people still are impacted and die and are challenged. There's so much good with this character that, yeah, I just love that they brought him back. One, because I'm a huge Maul fan. He's one of the few things I'll point to as a good thing out of the Phantom Menace, even before the excellent anti-cheese cuts. He's one of the few good things. And then, so I was excited for him to be back, but then the change, I think, was really necessary, and now I'm even a bigger fan. I think they added so much to his character, and the character's so much better off because of what they added to him. Because if they suddenly had him just doing these things without what happened, it would seem weird. It would seem out of character. But it makes sense, and he's just such an intriguing character. So, yep, those are my quick thoughts. I love what they did. Hope you enjoyed this video. Sometime soon, like I said, a Clone Wars episode, a full Clone Wars episode is coming. Just trying to figure out if it's strictly about the last 4 episodes of season 7 as a whole, or the entire series. Also coming Star Wars wise, there'll probably be an episode about some of my other favorite Star Wars stuff from movies, but not any of the live action movies. We're venturing into fan film territory here, but there's some really good ones. All right, I'm gonna let you go. Luna wants to get walking, so hope you all have a great day, and God bless, my friends.